Hey guys, this video is for anybody who has been sick or might have missed a few lessons or anything like that. So this video is going to be about demand. I'll make more videos during this unit about some difficult concepts, learning about demand, supply, elasticity, margin utility, all those things. So start off with demand. With law of demand, for demand, it's important to get in the mind of a consumer. Now with a consumer, you want to try to save money is kind of your incentive as a consumer. And with the law of demand, as price is high, your quantity demand is going to be very, very low. So what I have up here, this kind of chart, this table is called a demand schedule. And this demand schedule is kind of just with numbers, and this is the graphical representation of this table up here. What I'm going to be talking about is why demand is downward sloping, and then what can possibly shift the demand curve. So we're just trying to figure out what is determining everything about this demand curve, the shape, what can shift it, anything like that. So starting off, explaining the curve. Why consumers demand less, their quantity demand is less at higher prices, and why at lower prices their quantity demand is more. There are three reasons for this. Substitution effect, income effect, and diminishing marginal utility. No, but all these reasons, substitution effect, this is with at higher prices. If consumers are going to a store, they will see that this good, let's say good A, is higher than what they're expecting. So they'll substitute good A for maybe good B or good C instead. They see the higher price, they're going to move to something else. For income effect, that's if your own, as a consumer's wealth, their own income has remained the same. That's going to be held constant here. But the price of the product has changed, so the purchasing power of money has then changed as well. So for example, if you go down to the convenience store and thinking, I only have $1, let's say I only have $10, I will only buy as much candy as I want, and with that amount of money, if they lower the price of candy, you'd be able to buy a lot more candy bars, because that's still at $10, is able to buy a lot more candy bars. And diminishing marginal utility, that's utility is satisfaction received from consumption of a good. So let's use the same thing as candy bar example. By consuming more and more, your satisfaction gets less and less. So my first candy bar, I love it, I value it very much, and then by the third or fourth one, I don't like it quite as much. But it's a marginal benefit versus marginal cost type situation. So if the marginal benefit of the candy bar is higher than the marginal cost, I would still buy that candy bar. That marginal cost is the actual price of that candy bar. So if they lower it by 50 cents or $1 or whatever it's going to be, you would then be able to, like, oh, my marginal benefit stayed the same, but then they're lowering the price of it. So maybe my marginal benefit would then be above my marginal cost for the particular candy bar, then I can maybe buy more. So by lowering the price, and then you're going to be consuming more. A lot of how I'm talking about right now is by changing the price, we're changing our quantity demand. It's very important to distinguish between change in quantity demanded versus change in demand. So change in quantity demanded, so substitution effect, income effect, and diminishing marginal utility, is moving anywhere along this column. I'm changing the price from $5 to $4. The quantity demanded, you have to say quantity demanded for this part, is going to change from 10 to 20. But when we're changing price, we're keeping all other factors constant. These are all the other factors we're holding constant when we're changing price. So changing price, moving along the curve, moving down the column here, same way, and we're saying change in quantity demanded. So quantity demanded is going to be along here. Now, if we're going to hold price constant and something else changes, then we'd be shifting the demand curve either left or to the right. So we'd be changing population, the income of the consumers, price of the related goods, advertising, taste and preferences are kind of very similar to each other, and the last one being expectations. For income and related goods, there's some more terms here: normal good, inferior good, substitute and complement. Look in your books for more clear explanations on what those would mean. I'll show you graphically what it looks like up here if I shift the demand curve. I'll label it as D2. Always draw an arrow. Now what has happened when I've shifted it to the left here, at that same price as before, people are demanding less. Significantly less. Now this is the graphical representation of just one of the curves. If I do for D2 now, up here, let's say it might only be 5, 15, 25, 35, and 45. This is showing at each given price level, people are demanding less. So the demand has changed, moving from one column to the next column. Quantity demand has changed, moving along the curve to another point along the same curve. The only way we do that is by changing price. How we're shifting the demand curve is by changing one of these. I use the acronym PIRATE to try to help you out. All right, that is the demand curve. Look in your book for some of these terms, and that's all.